What's up YouTube, Mellow as a Matt here. So you can see by we've got hands and we've got little chibi me. We are doing deck profile today. And I know this was supposed to be the Craycross Epic early lists, because this was the final one to finish off set 7, set 8 even, but I had technical issues, is the honest response. So we are actually back here for a basic deck profile, just because I want to put more time and effort that's going to be needed into the Craycross Epics to actually get something out today. So we are here for one of my developed set 7 decks, and we are here with Lianorn. So this one's going to be slightly different to how they usually have been. Now, for those that have watched previous deck profiles will know I have everything lined up along, and we go through them card by card as we used to. This one's going to be different, because what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to have, like for the example, quick example, they're going to all be laid out like this. And I'll go through each of these, and then the grades will be grade 3s all laid out, wiped away, grade 2s all laid out, wiped away, grade 1s laid out, wiped away, and grade 0s wiped away. I feel this is personally better, as it lets me focus more on the cards in that grade, and I can dive into it further. And it also does mean that technically people watch the videos longer. I know that's the side of things, but it is something that's got to be looked at, because I do need the retention still, unfortunately. But it's not the main focus. I'd rather focus on showing the cards off more, get better discussions going. There is going to be what your ideal setup will be at the end, and showing off a couple of combos. But let's get started with the ride line. So, as you saw a second ago from the quick example, our ride line is the usual Corfi, Gracia, Rectina, and Lianorn. So, going to go through the skills quickly. We've got Corfi first, which is the basic starter skill of if you went second, draw a card. Then you've got Gracia, who's got 2 skills. First one being, when this is rode upon by Brilliant Tone Rectina, you can call this card to Rearguard Circle. And then second skill is, during the battle this unit boosted a Vanguard, this unit gets power plus 5000. So this is really nice for the fact of you can ride off on top of this, and then you call it to a front row Rearguard Circle, and you can use it for early rush, which is really nice. But you can then pull it back for turn 3, so it's still boosting a Vanguard swing. Then you got Rectina next, which has got the skill of, when this unit is rode upon by a unit with Lianorn in its card name, you can Soul Blast 1, choose a grade 1 or less card from your drop zone, and call it to Rearguard Circle. And her second skill is, if your back row has 3 or more Rearguards, this unit gets boost. So second skill doesn't come up that often, because the only way to actually get Rectina on the board is to revive it from the drop zone after having Soul Blasted it out. So that skill doesn't come up that much. But the first skill does come up quite nicely, because you can combo it off with Salvia, which doesn't actually have a skill till you actually hit grade 3. So you can then carry on the combos, extending your board, doing really nice plays. The other thing to note is, obviously she says a Lianorn Vanguard. So yes, that currently encompasses both the trial deck Lianorn, set 6 Lianorn that we've got. But in case we get another Lianorn down the line with how the anime is looking, we've then got coverage from the ride line. It doesn't need an update, which is really nice. Talking of Lianorns, we're going to go on to the Lianorn we have got, and we've gone with the set 6 Lianorn this time, which is the Grand Marcher Full Bloom Lianorn. So this Lianorn's got 2 skills. First one being, act once per turn, you can Count Blast 1, draw a card, and then choose a card from your hand and either call it to Rearguard Circle or discard it. And the second skill is her main one, which is her auto Vanguard Circle. When this unit attacks a Vanguard, you can Soul Blast 1, choose all of your units it can boost, and boost with them. Then if you boosted with 3 or more units, this unit gets Drive plus 1, and at the end of the battle, choose 2 of your Rearguards in the back row and stand. So this is really nice for the fact that obviously it plays very into the Dimension Police playstyle of big Vanguard, go swing, go burr. because you've got 3 boosters in the back row, which is 24k plus her 13, 37 base, and that's without the rear guards having additional skills at the top. First skill's nice as well, because obviously you can use it before you commit in your board, so you're actually generating a +1. Or for those that do actually run the Roman Prison Dragon Order version, can count +1, draw a card, and ditch their Roaming Prison Dragons to the drop to then line up for orders, which is really good as well. All in all, Lianorn's a very fun card and really nice potential for the development of this deck is more not what Lianorn can develop into, but what her rear guards provide for Lianorn. Because you can get boosters that say guard restrict, boosters that give units critical. We just had the promo that says when this unit boosts, give something 5k in the column, so your other units are also gaining power alongside it. So there's so much potential with this deck, which is really nice. But I shall catch you guys back again in a second with the grade 3s. Right, and we are back with the grade 3s. And we've got two different grade 3s here. First one up is obviously our 3 extra copies of Full Bloom Lianorn. And this is for the fact of obviously Persona Ride. So Persona Ride is obviously a very good mechanic. It's very much needed, so obviously you want your extra Lianorns. I do see some lists that do actually run the trial deck Lianorn in the Ride line, and then 4 copies of this Lianorn in the main deck, just so you can increase your Persona Ride chances. Because the other Lianorn's got the skill of when it's rode on top by this Lianorn, it still counts as Persona Ride. But I found in the end it just wasn't worth it, because to put the Lianorn into this main deck, you're then cutting back on other cards, which there's so much you want to try and fit in the deck, it's just not worth it. The other grade 3, however, is our newest support in set 7, and that is Resonance Dragon. So Resonance Dragon's got the skills of, if your units have boosted 3 or more times this turn, this unit gets power plus 5,000. Then, the second skill is also Rearguard Circle. At the end of the battle, this unit attacks the Vanguard. If you have a Vanguard with Lianorn in its card name, and your units have boosted their total of 5 or more times this turn, you can count +1 and put this unit into your soul, choose one of your rearguards and stand it back up. So this is really nice for the fact of it's enabling the 4 attacks in Lianorn. So boosting 3 or more times is a natural occurrence for the deck due to the fact of you're either using Lianorn's skill to boost with all 3 units in your back row, or if you're not doing the Resonance Dragon multi-attacks, your 3 columns being boosted will also do it for you. But the main skill obviously is the restand behind it, especially for the fact of you can have something you've got trigger dumped over here. And if you've got all the trigger dumps on there, say it's 28 with the crit, it's swinging in whilst they're at 4 damage. You can then swing with the resonance to restand that and then force it another guard or dead situation, which is really nice. But that's the grade 3s. I shall catch you back for the grade 2. And we're back, and yes, that wasn't our grade 2 is my response. We only run 2 grade 2s in the deck because this deck's more about the grade 1s. And the grade 2 we have gone for is for Festoso Dragon. So Festoso Dragon's got the skill of, when this unit is placed on Rearguard Circle from hand, if you have a Vanguard with Lianorn in its card name, you can count +1, look at the top 3 cards of your deck, choose one of those cards from among it, call it your Rearguard Circle, it gets boost, and then you discard the rest. So, from first glance, you're seeing, oh, this is not bad. You're committing more board without having to call from hand, which is nice. But it's then eating away your counter blasts. It's also milling the other 2 cards, which could end up being your milling triggers in a deck that wants to see its triggers on its drive checks. So it's not the best card. Substitutes you could go with. First one is obviously Creed Assault. I personally don't like Creed Assault for the fact of, for him to be able to attack, you must have restood a rearguard this turn. So if you can't Lianorn, or before you hit Lianorn, it's a dead card. The other option, which I'd rather go for, but I don't actually own, is the Atrocious Moth Girl Maple, which revives itself from the drop zone when you Persona Ride, which is a recurring 5k that you can then intercept off, Persona Ride again, and then bring it back again, which is leads to really good cycling for the deck. So this would be Mothgo Maple if I had them. But for now, Festoso does more for me than what Creed Assault would do. But that's grade 2s. I shall move on to the grade 1s now. Alright, and here are the grade 1s. So obviously starting off, we've got our 4 Perfect Guards. We've got 1 Elementara Sanctitude and 3 of the Custodial Dragons. So Elementara Sanctitude is an order one, so it bypasses your guard restricts that say X number of cards in the Guardian Circle. So Flagberg, you've got... I'm trying to think of some of the others, but they're not as meta dependent. They're currently not in the meta. But the other reason you also run this is because it's got the skill of, if your opponent's got triple drive, you don't have to discard for the cost. So this would be your Mahanavanas, your Aces X Live Kyries, your Seraph Pure Light, your Magnolia Elder, which is now starting to crop up again because, they unrestricted Magnolia Inlet. But outside of those two, you can only use this if you're grade 3 or less Vanguard, so it doesn't work for those grade 4 decks either. But this also has got the skill of, when you activate it, you discard a card from your hand, choose one of your units, and it can't be hit to the end of that battle. Key thing to note, this can't be used against Lianorn, because Lianorn is twin drive, and then gains drive +1. She doesn't actually gain triple drive. It looks for the specific keyword, not the actual how many drive checks you're doing. As for the other Perfect Guards, we, as I said, got 3 Custodial Dragons. This is the exact same as if you wanted to run Planar Prevent Dragon, because they're the exact same skills of, when this unit is placed on Guardian Circle, choose a card from your hand, choose one of your units, it cannot be hit to the end of the battle. Then if you have 2 or more cards in your hand, choose a card from your hand and discard it. There is the other option of Alejandra from the start decks and Lianorn's trial deck. And the reason that is a still option is for the fact of the discard for Planar and Custodial are mandatory discards, whereas the discard for the Alejandra, because it's a cost to activate the skill, you can choose to not discard and not have to do it. This again is more for if you're affected by the so many cards in the Guardian Circle guard restricts. So it's meta dependency again there. If your locals is literally flooded with the Flagbergs, it does become more useful to actually be using the Alejandras. Next card up is the Lively Rhythm Biara. So Biara's got the skill of, when they attack this unit boosted hits a Vanguard, you can put a grade 2 or less card from your hand into your soul to then draw a card. So this is soul generation. This is also cycling, because you're turning the cards you don't want into shield value or key combo pieces, like your Persona Raj, your Resonance Dragons, looking for your Perfect Guards. So it's a really nice card for the deck, honestly. Next one up is honestly one of the best staples we've had for a while in Stoicheia, and that is Performing Petal Diantha. So Diantha's got the skills of, when this unit is placed on rearguard circle from hand, if your Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, you can counterblast 1, choose a grade 3 or less card from your drop zone and call it to rearguard circle. Her second skill, I will mention, hasn't been errated yet, but has been submitted for an errata. And it's got the skill of, during your turn, if you have 2 or more grade 1 or less rearguards in the back row, this unit gets power plus 5,000. So the real card needs them to be in the back row, but the printed version at the moment doesn't specify this. This has been submitted to Bushiroad. I've seen the submission myself because I was involved in it, and we're just waiting at this point. However, due to the rulings we do follow the printed text over the Japanese text, so it is to currently be played as not needing the back row, but I won't be describing it in this video as not needing. I'll describe it as the Japanese text, is the best way to put it. So 13k when you've filled up your board, is really nice. It's a good restand target for resonance, because obviously you're then hitting the Vanguard without triggers still, as long as they don't hit defensive, that is. But 13k base is really nice. Plus, it's also a 13k booster, which is really nice for Lianorn. It's that extra bit of push to making her numbers bigger. And then the rival on top to bring back your key pieces like Resonance Dragon, your Biara if it's retired, your Salvias to get literally Dianth into Salvia fills you up with the entire back row for free, which is really nice. But before we can talk about Salvia, we've got to talk about this one over here first, and that is Marching Debut Purette. So Purette's got the simple skill of during your turn, if you have three or more grade 1 or less rear guards, this unit gets power plus 5,000. So it's Dianth light in the terms of it's still a 13k attacker / booster, but the conditions are slightly different. This one needs 3 or less rear guards. Doesn't say others, so it can include herself. So she more shines with the early rush that we were talking about earlier. So back when I said about the Gracia calling herself from Soul when you're on Rectina, if you've got Gracia up here, you can have a Yara behind the Vanguard for the on-hit pressure, and then this in the front row on the other side, you've got an 8, a 13, and an 18k column. If you're going first against your opponent's grade 1 Vanguard, you're in a very strong position at that point, because you're forcing 5k shield, 10k shield, 15k shield. So you're hitting magic numbers across the board. It's really nice, especially for the fact of the 13 that you'd be here with Purette would force either 2 5s or a 15k shield, because the 10k draws aren't online at that point, because you're still a grade 2 Vanguard. Next card we're now going to discuss is going to be the Stepping Calyx Salvia. So Salvia's got the skill of, when a unit is placed on rearguard circle, if your Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, you may call off plant token to rearguard circle. So nice simple skill, on place, generate a plant token, which I'm just going to quickly grab a plant just to show. It's literally basic 5k, it has boost, grade 0. No real extra skills on the plant token, but it's really nice for the fact of, with just Dianth, you can literally have Lianorn online, because you go Dianth, Salvia calls a plant token. Oh look, I've got 3 boosters, Lianorn's now punching him in the face. So there's so much real nice stuff that you can do with Salvia. It's just nice having that. And the last grade 1 is we've got one tech of the congratulatory performance Sucrose. So Sucrose has got the skill of, when this unit boosts a Vanguard, you can Soul Blast 1, choose one of your opponent's grade 2 or less rear guards that's not being attacked, and you call it to the Guardian Circle. And if it cannot be moved, this unit gets power plus 5,000 until end of turn. So you're more than likely thinking to yourself, why would you want this in your deck? Because you're forcing your opponents to gain guard with rear guards, which doesn't seem worth it. But the best way to look at it is not so much you're forcing it to guard, you're more Soul Blast 1 to retire an opponent's rear guard. So certain matchups where it's going to be useful. You've got the Lyricals, you can put the Eureka out the way. For those that have seen it, the new Vehemence Bruce is very focused about having Stephanie behind the Vanguard. This removes Stephanie. There's key units in quite a lot of decks they don't want to lose, and Sucrose just deals with them. Because it also then puts the thought onto the opponent. Do I want to bump up the guard to make the Vanguard be a no pass, or do I just want to let it go? So it creates more thought process, but it's really nice removal for the deck. Second part of the skill, where it gains the 5k, it hasn't really shown itself to come into effect yet, but that might be for further development down the line. But that's it for the grade 1s. Let's move on to the triggers. Alright, and here are the triggers. So we've gone for 4 heals, 4 draws, 7 crits, and the 1 over trigger. So starting off with the heals, ideally you want 3 Petronella and 1 Asher, but I lost one of my Petronellas, so I've had to order a new one. So for now, obviously I've gone with an Asher, but ideally you want 3 heals and then 1 of the counter heals if your meta needs it. If not, you'd be going 4 Petronellas, but this is down to personal preference. As for which counter heals we've got, obviously the one I've got here on show is the Xenophilia Fairy Asher, whose 10k base shield, which then gains 15k shield if the unit that's currently attacking is on its 2nd attack or more. So this is for the restanding units. So this more shows up with Vegria, against in the mirror match with Lianorn, with Bruce, Bastion. Anything that restands is where this would show. Flagberg being another one, actually. Now I've thought about it. But the other one, which I don't have, is the Alchemic Hedgehog. Now, Alchemic Hedgehog gains the same 10k base, but gains 15k shield if your opponent's got a base critical of 2, or has had their critical increased from an effect outside of a trigger. So this would be the likes of Gravidia, the Bacabrito inside of Gravidia, your Obscudades. So it's down to you pick one depending on what your meta currently looks like. As for draws, obviously we've gone for the 4 effect draws. And the effect draw gains 5k shield if your opponent's Vanguard's grade 3. So nice and generic. We need draw power in this deck, because our only technical plus is Lianorn. To hand, that is. Plus the boards, obviously we've got the Anth, but actual physical plus to hand, increased hand size, we've only got Lianorn. So very much needed. As for triggers, we have got 3 vanilla crits and 4 of the effect crits. Now, I know there are going to be questions of why the effect crits, but the effect crit does actually come up in this. And that's more for the lines of this actually helps the Resonance Dragon column hit magic numbers. So what you would do is you'd put this in the back row along with 2 basic 8k boosters. Something generics here, and then you've got Vanguard and the Resonance on this side. So you'd swing Vanguard, use its skill, boost. Then obviously the Resonance sees that, gets the 5k. You then restand your 2 boosters. You then boost with this side, end of the battle. This then moves to Soul, gives 2k to the Resonance Dragon, making it a 20k. Boosted by an 8k, makes you hit the 28k magic numbers. So it does come up. The Soul does obviously become useful as well in the deck due to Lianorn using Soul. So it can also come up sometimes. As for why I've gone for the 7 crits instead of 8, and obviously 4 draws instead of 3, is, as I said, this deck needs draw power. Then, last card up is obviously the Overtrigger. We've gone for Blessed Favor. It's got the additional effect of draw a card, choose one of your units against a critical, or your front row against 10k, and if you could heal, you heal. So it's literally a crit, a draw, a front, and a heal all in one card. On top of the fact of also you get the 100 million and the draw card. So obviously really good card. It's needed in the form, needed in the deck because it's in the form. But that's it for the actual card explanations. I shall see you back in a second once I've got the turn 3 board. Alright, and we are back for what would look to be our, at this point, about to start grade 3 turn. So these are the key cards. Yes, we'd have more drop and more hand at this point, but I just want to show you the key pieces you'll want to look for, which is Resonance Dragon needs to be here, but you can also combo it off with, this could be any booster, but the fact that we're using it as the Anth means I can do extra combos to show you. So obviously we draw for turn. We're about to ride up to grade 3, so we discard off the Stoso Dragon to ride into Lianorn. Obviously, Rectina activates, but we don't actually, in this situation, we don't have any, so we don't use Rectina's skill. We'll then pull this back, because obviously this is now ready to be used as our booster. And we then call down the Anth. We get to use the Anth skill. Outblast one. And we call out Resonance Dragon. So then we gain powers on our boards, because the Ant gains 5k, because we've got 2 or more grade 1s in the back row. Then Purette gains 5k as well, because we have got more than 3 grade 1 or less rear guards. I'll pop that there, because we're going to be utilising that in a second. And then we start swinging. So we attack with Lianorn. Lianorn's skill, we Soul Blast 1, and we discard a card. Choose our 3 back row, and we boost. Now, key thing I do want to know here at this point is Lianorn needs to have all 3 boosted by her effect. You cannot do I boost, skill, boost, because her skill has not boosted 3 times. It's something that should have been explained on the card, but wasn't. It was in the JP Q&A, which doesn't get ported over to English, so it's something that you do need to stress to brand new people picking up the Lianorn deck. It has to be all 3 boosted by her skill. But back to where we were, we've boosted 3 times, so our Resonance gains 5k. Then obviously we've got Gracie's skill, she's boosting the Vanguard, she gains 5k. So we've got 8, 16, 24, 34, plus 13 makes 47k Vanguard swing. And this is our first grade 3 turn. We're hitting those kind of numbers. And obviously, because we've done the discard, we've boosted 3 times, we do get triple drive out of it. So, first check, no trigger. Second check, no trigger. Third check. I love this game sometimes. Joking. But, no, that's our triple drive. At that point, we had a hit, so obviously we can use our Biara to generate the soul back up that we've paid for Lianorn's skill by putting another Biara into soul. We then draw a card, which gave us our Resonance for next turn, which is really nice. Then, because obviously end of the battle, we can then restand our rear guards. Then this would be boost number 4. And then obviously boost number 5. This one doesn't have the 5k anymore, because we're no longer boosting our Vanguard. Then this is now in 5 boosts. So you would count plus 1, put this into soul, which then removes the 5k off the board, and you would then stand a rear guard. Obviously, this part you wouldn't do. Say for example, if your opponent hit defensive, and this then wouldn't hit because you're wasting resources at that point. It's your response. So the fact of you actually wait till you've seen the damage before doing the restand is really nice, because it then lets you play around defensives and other things that your opponent may or may not do. But that is the basic combo you'll see from the deck. Obviously, we could have substituted, say for example, this Salvia was already in the drop. When we call down our Dianth, we could then Dianth into Gracie here. So say these weren't here. We could have done Dianth, calling down Gracia, calling down the part time, like I said in the deck explanation. We've then gained 3 boosters for our Lianorn. All in all, Lianorn is a very fun aggro deck. And I'm not an aggro player by heart, I'm a combo player. So the fact that I've actually picked this deck up, I've really enjoyed playing this deck, shows how fun this deck actually is. But that is going to be it for this video. If you haven't already, please do like and subscribe. It very much does help the channel. And I shall catch you guys in the next video. Bye bye.